Did you really assume that I would skip a palette, first of all, that has this artwork, and second of all, this inside? Well, me neither. This is the new Nomad Cosmetics Fuji 5 Lakes palette that is inspired by, and let me read that off the packaging, the Fuji Goko in Japan. Fiery autumnal hues mixed with cool mountain and lake tones formulated with extra fine pigments for beautifully blendable colors and rich payoff. Infused with Camellia japonica oil to help make skin silky smooth. 9 vivid mattes and 6 luminescent shimmers inspired by the beautiful fall foliage at Mount Fuji and its surrounding lakes. Autumn in Japan is a festive and colorful season as changing foliage moves across the country, and the popular pastime of momiji gari, hunting red leaves, that's what it means, begins. A fantastic destination to see these brilliant hues is the Fuji 5 Lakes region. A sight to behold, there is the clear, cool lake water surrounded by fiery red maple and golden ginkgo trees, perfectly framing the iconic snow-capped cone of Mount Fuji. Juxtaposition? What's that? What word is that? Juxtaposition? I have to Google that after that intro. Of warm and cool, light and shadow beautifully captures the season transitional nature and the rich beauty of autumn in Japan. That's the outside packaging. That one is smooth, but the palette itself, it looks like an acrylic painting. It is 3D, it has texture, and when we look inside, we wanna, or I at least, I wanna melt down. So let's look at the swatches for a moment. I think the swatches are beautiful. I have not found a single thing to criticize about the swatches. Aside maybe some of the yellow tones, they definitely needed some build up. The blues went on very, very nice. They just swatched a bit patchy. But you know me, swatching is only one side of the story. At the end, it comes down to the performance on the eyes. I think we can all agree on the fact that Nomad Cosmetics is known since forever for their excellent matte formulation, but their problem always were the shimmers. Thanks to a new formulation, since the Ghost Town USA, there is a new formula in their shimmers. They started something new with Royal Europe, but that was five multichromes. They are not like this, or these are not like the multichromes, but since Ghost Town USA, you can find this new shimmer formulation that is very, very smooth, not too hard pressed. You have a beautiful pigmentation, and in this palette you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like metallics, some more, some less base, I don't know, like heavy. For example, the blue and the reds, of course, they have a very, very heavy base in that color, while pampas grass and golden ginkgo have more a lighter base, so they go on more like a sheen. Diamond Fuji is a duochrome in my opinion. This shifts from invisible to blue. I'm wearing this shade actually in every single look that you will see, and I just realized I forgot to apply this shade as my brow and highlight. The first look you will see that will concentrate definitely more on the reds and the yellows, and then you see a blue heavy look, and for the last look I was inspired by the packaging basically, and I tried to do something in that direction, and I think I nailed it kinda. So now let's tackle the tutorials, and then at the end of the video you will see my final review. I'm starting that look now with, no, not Koyo. Koyo will be going later. Yellow Popular, and I take it on a very, very fluffy brush. And I apply this very, very messy and sloppy in the crease transition up to the brow area. Now I'm going into Koyo, which by the way translated means the color of fallen leaves. And that one I apply directly through the crease. By the way, I googled what that word means and how to pronounce it and how it is translated in English. And I don't know if I am too dumb to Google, but Koyo does not have a translation into English, but what I found was the German translation, and I translated that German one into English, which led me to the color of fallen leaves. Next up, I go into burnished beach, and that was the wrong brush. I take this one for burnished beach. Apply this also in the crease, but also in the outer V area. And I bring it not all the way in. I stop at like a quarter left, and that's it. Does this make any sense? I don't know. I wish that came with a dictionary, because I now want to use the shade Momiji. And I found different translations, but on a website that's all about Japanese culture, it says that Momiji in the Western world is translated into red leaves, which makes sense because of the color. So I now go into Momiji, and that one I apply only here on that outer part. My glitter glue is down, and I now go into Golden Ginkgo, and I apply this here in the beginning, or like the front of my lid. And then I apply this until that darker matte comes in. And I now tap into Fairy Maple, and that one I apply here on the outer V, and I slightly tap it inwards to mix with the Ginkgo shade. So I take Joyride from the Colourpop BFF Cream Liner, and I line my waterline with that. I also applied it a bit on the skin. I go into Momiji again, and I use this now across the whole lower lash line to blend that out. I also tap into Koyo. Use this a tad underneath to just give it a bit more of a yellowish tint so it turns a bit more orange. The choices for your inner corner highlight in this palette are not that big, which comes down to the fact that you only have 6 metal shades in here. And I think we can all agree Fairy Maple, Kawaguchi Go, and Yamanakako are a bit too dark. So it comes down to Golden Ginkgo, Diamond Fuji, or a Pampas Grass. And for that look, I mean, Golden Ginkgo could totally do the job, but I want to have a bit of contrast, so I do go into Diamond Fuji. I already swatched it, and I was... when I filmed the swatches, I was very excited. So let me tap this on the inner corner. How much are you able to see in these lights? I don't know, because Diamond Fuji is a glitchy shade, and it's like the highest level of glitchiness because it's really visible, invisible, playing the trick with the light. Absolutely beautiful, and it's like, it's there, it gives contrast, it breaks the look a bit without being too overwhelming of a blue shade, because the shift is light baby blue, I would say. And here we have the first finished look, and for the lips I did not apply any lip liner or so. I just applied the Izamaya lipstick in the shade Mortal. It's a muted pinky shade with some golden glitter in it. Very, very fall-esque, very, very warm, and it makes me very, very happy actually, because I am craving the fall weather. I'm craving the fall makeup, and I can't wait to just create the 2 other looks for this video and this beautiful palette, and that composition just makes so much sense. And before I lose myself in rambling, let's head over to look number 2. Very excited. I now started the second look with the shade Mount Fuji. And I start to blend this here on the inner crease part, and then I bring it a tad bit outwards, but not all the way out. I now go into Fujigoko, which by the way is the lake resort area, like that area where this palette is inspired from. And that one I start to blend on the outer crease part, but I'm bringing it slightly on top of Mount Fuji to just mesh them together and create a gradient from that light to that darker blue. And to make the blues complete, I also go into Mount Hoei. I hope I pronounced that right. Okay, I just looked it up. It's really Mount Hoei. Okay. I stumbled across a website, study.com, and it says Mount Fuji Fact Lesson for Kids. And it literally says the name is Mount Hoei, pronounced Mount Ho, Hoei. Is that a lesson for kids? I don't know, but okay, whatever works. So I take Mount Hoei, sorry, and that one I apply on the outer crease and bring it to the lashes down for a darker look. It's so pretty. I am so happy with this palette so far, although I'm only on the second look. I now go into Yamanaka Ko, and this is the, wait, I have it open here. It is the largest of the Fuji Fives Lake and the second most developed lake behind Lake Kawaguchi-go with small towns. It's also very fun to just learn now about this, honestly. So let me tap that lake on my lid, but I tap it only on the outer parts where it's the darkest. I'll go into Kawaguchi-ko, what I just said, another lake from that area. In that shade, I start to apply in the center, bring it then outwards, but I'm leaving the tiniest bit bare because, very easy explanation, I want to use Diamond Fuji today again. For this look, I apply the Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal in the shade Surfside. It is a nice darkish blue, or more so a teal color. I take Mount Hawaii and smudge that out all along the lower lash line. And I of course take Mount Fuji again and I smudge this slightly lower to give it like a light blue glow. Now I go into Diamond Fuji, I fill it on the rest of my lid and then bring it to the inner corner. Here we have now the finished second look. On the lips I'm wearing my focus lipstick, the Givenchy Rouge Interdit in the shade 10. I love this look. Not gonna lie to you, this is the second look out of 3 is a banger too. This beautiful bluish hue, and for look number 3, I mean, it's for me in the future, you will see it in a second, but I want to combine maybe not everything, I don't know, but I definitely want to incorporate all the shades that I haven't used yet and then give it some cool twists. So I'm very excited now for the last look. For the last look, I try to kind of catch the vibe of the cover. So I want to do something red and yellowish with a touch of ice on the lid, but then mainly bluish vibes on the lower lash line. So that's the plan at least. I'm starting with Red Rowan, and I use this fairly neutral shade for this palette as my transition color. Next up, I go into Burning Bush, and I use this in the crease, and I apply this throughout the complete crease. I tap back into Red Rowan, and I just diffuse the edges a bit better. I now go into Momiji, and I apply this on the outer V area. And I also take Koyo, and I apply this very precise on the inner crease part. I just want to give it a orange fire tint. I tap into Golden Ginkgo now, and that one goes on that inner lid part. I concentrate the color on the inner third, and whatever is left on the brush, I just basically wipe out. Next up, I go into Pampas Grass, and I tap this here in the center. And of course, I go into Fairy Maple again, and I fill in the rest of the lid with it. And then I tap back into Pampas Grass, and I just intensify the center a bit and tap over Fairy Maple again. But not all the way, I just want to create that gradient. The lower waterline I do line now with the Prince liner from ColourPop, the cream BFF whatever liners. Go into Mount Hawaii and start to blend that here on half of the lower lash line. I then tap into Fuji and I blend this on the rest of the lash line and underneath Mount Hawaii. And for some light twist, I also go into Mount Fuji and I blend this underneath. I know it looks a bit weird right now, but trust the process because I just keep on wiping and blending. I absolutely cannot get enough of Diamond Fuji. I think that's my favorite shade from that palette and from the brand. I use this, of course, as inner corner highlight, but I also apply it on the first third of the lower lash line. Diamond Fuji, by the way, is a tad bit dusty for a shimmer. So I have to wipe off a bit of fallout with a spoolie. You could also use some Fix Plus then on the brush or apply just glitter glue in the inner corner, but I don't like to do it. So I just wipe off anything with a spoolie. And here we have now the last finished look. On my lips, I'm wearing MAC Mahogany Lip Liner and I topped it off with the Hourglass Phantom Glossy Balm in the shade Impulse. Did I nail it? Did I? I think I did. I think I did. Every single look that I created in this video with this palette was a banger. Okay, I'm not surprised, not gonna lie, because that would be a lie. As soon as I saw this color story, I know that this is a color story for me. I knew that I can love this because this has the perfect balance of cools with the blues and the ices. You have the reds that I am still obsessed with, and even these like burnt colors, burnt oranges, yellows, which are usually not my style. They fit into this palette very, very nicely. My Insta stories are flooded by looks that others created and Nomad Cosmetics is sharing in their stories, and I have not seen a single eye look with this palette that was not impressing me because, as said, it's just a truly good palette. So is it better than my beloved Ghost Town that I ranked at #1? I don't know. It is pretty hard to choose because Ghost Town has a very, very special mix of shades and of undertones. This one, to me, screams fall palette for people that don't like warm tones. And this one is just a cool toned dream for people that, although there are warmish greens in here, don't like them, like me. So I don't want to decide yet, but as of now, after only doing 3 looks with this, I say this might be now my new second favorite. So it knocked off the Verona palette, which was before that #2 because of the beautiful red tones and the design. But here we do not only have a beautiful design, we have quality in this palette. The shimmers are so friggin' good. They are as good as they gotten since the Ghost Town palette. Everything before Ghost Town, aside Royal Europe, was shimmer-wise not the best quality from Nomad. I don't know what happened. I don't know what they changed, but they nailed it now. These are super nice, creamy metallics. The duochromes, they still need to work on shades like this because it's a bit flaky, or not flaky, you know, like indie flakes. It's a bit loosely pressed, as if there is not enough binding component. But honestly, I much rather have a drier shade that maybe, I don't know, dusts around a bit in the shimmer particles that I can just flick off with a spoolie, or that I have to spray with some Fix Plus or whatever you like to use for that, than having something with so much binding component that it's like squishy and moving like the Odin's Eye ones. This palette gives me so much joy. I think it's clear. If you can get it, it gets definitely a recommended stamp from my side. Let me know down below which one was your favorite look. Mine actually is this one. I thought it is the blue, but it is actually this one. And tell me, have you gotten this? Will you not get this? Will you not? What's your favorite Nomad? Let me please know down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. And if you do not have an opinion on any of these looks or on Nomad Cosmetics, but you still want to push the algorithm, comment Fuji. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.